Hi, this is John and this is Sammy, and today we're going to talk about open position chords. Isn't that right? Open position chords in the key of G major. So this is just basically a review for those of you who learned them recently in class or in lessons, and maybe you prefer to see them being done and hear them being played rather than just looking at a chart on a piece of paper. So I'm just going to go over these quickly, not spend a ton of time on them, but try to point out a few things along the way. Not the most exciting video, but if you're having trouble or have any questions, this might be a good one to review. Sammy, that means it's time for you to get down. Oh, no. Come on. The people want guitar. Good boy. All right, so for our first chord, we're in the key of G. We've got an easy G chord. I want you to learn the full thing, but starting off, this is perfectly legit. You're going to take your ring finger, and you're going to put it on your first string, 3rd fret. And you just strum from the 4th string on up. We're not going to want to play these two low strings, because they sound terrible. Wouldn't play with the whole chord, but the top 4. And that's just fine if you're still learning the full G chord, or you get a little tired of playing or something, and you still want to strum along, that's fine. I think he's going to leave us alone now. Now here's the full chord. We're going to take our middle finger, put it on the 6th string, 6th string, 3rd fret. Then the index finger goes on the 5th string, 2nd fret. Then all the way across the 1st string, we're going to have our 3rd finger on the 3rd fret, where we had for the easy G chord. And we play all 6 strings, okay? I noticed for the G chord and also the D7 chord, which we're going to do in a minute, people seem to have a little easier time if they pivot their hand just a little bit this way, so their fingers are pointing more sort of, and their palm is facing this direction towards the guitar body. If you have your hands this way, which is generally a good position to have them where your palm is facing straight up, I think it's going to be harder to do this stretch here. So that should make it a little easier. This finger will be pretty stretched out. The middle finger and the ring finger will be nice and curved in there. So there's your G chord. All right. Make sure you have good contact with all your frets. That's why I like to have you play them individually, each string. You can hear if there's one that's not making good contact, or if there's a note where maybe you're bumping into it with a neighboring string. Look out for those kind of things. You want to make sure you're not bumping into it, or you're too far away from the fret. Actually, that doesn't sound that bad, but you know, that can cause some buzziness if you're too far away, and also if you're just not pressing down hard enough. Alright, moving right along, D7. The D7 chord, we're going to start with our 4th string. Middle finger goes on the 3rd string, 2nd fret. Index finger goes on the 2nd string, 1st fret. And then the ring finger goes on the 1st string, 2nd fret. So top 4 strings again. That's D7. Kind of pivoting my hand this way again. And if you would happen to hit the 5th string, it's not going to sound bad at all. It just sounds a little fuller. But I would aim for the 4th string for now. And you want to avoid playing the low E string. Don't do this, little kind of advanced tip, don't do this if it screws up playing the rest of the chord. But what I do is, and it took me a while to get comfortable doing this, is when I have any chords where I don't want to play the low note, I will sneak my thumb around and have it touch that string. So I can just kind of strum freely, and all those notes that sound good together, including that A, which doesn't sound, or that A, yeah, which doesn't sound bad. But if I happen to hit this string, it's not going to ring out and ruin the rest of the chord. So if you want to include your thumb, just to barely touch the string and mute it, that's fine. But don't do it if it messes up the rest of the chord. Alright, moving right along. C. Now for this one, you probably want to pivot your hand so your palm is facing more towards the ceiling. Again, we're not going to play the 6th string. We're going to start on the 5th string with this one. And it's going to be your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the 5th string. Then your middle finger, 2nd fret, 4th string. Then open G, open 3rd string. Then your index finger on the 2nd string, 1st fret. And then you're going to also play your open E on top. Okay, so there we go. And again on this one, it took me many years to be able to do this cleanly. When I first started, I kept my thumb down here so that I could arch my fingers up like a classical player. But over the years, I kind of found I could kind of sneak that thumb around and keep the chord ringing and kill that guy. when they hit them, it doesn't sound like that, which we don't want. Okay? Moving right along, let's keep going. We got E minor next. This is an easy one, not one you can screw up too badly. And we're going to start open E, then first finger goes on the 5th string, 2nd fret, middle finger goes on the 4th string, 2nd fret, right next door. This finger is going to have to be a little further back to make room for this one, right? You're never going to be able to get them really close to the fret, but that's okay, you'll get it. And then everything else is open. So that's E minor, straight across, pretty easy chord. I like to have people do it with 1 and 2. You'll also see it taught sometimes with 2 and 3, and that's also perfectly legitimate. The reason I'm teaching with 1 and 2 is because when we have songs that have a C chord in it, going to E minor, you can keep that middle finger down. Or if you have a G chord going to E minor, you can keep the first finger down. Right, so that's why I'm doing it that way. But certainly for another song in another key, maybe it would make more sense to do this. Or if you're just really good at switching to that without having had any fingers to connect the two, that's fine too. I have no problem with any of that. So that's the chord. I always start people with 1 and 2. 2 more. And these ones are ones we're not going to focus on as much right away, but one is A minor. And we're going to start from the 5th string, open. Then we'll have our middle finger on the 4th string, 2nd fret. Ring finger on the 3rd string, 2nd fret, right beside it, kind of like the E minor, right? And then we're going to have our index finger up here on the 2nd string, 1st fret. And then we're also going to play our high E. So that's it. Again, one that we're not playing our low E for, and I use my thumb to mute it. If that's hard for you, make sure you get the chord first, and then worry about muting that low string later on. Also notice this one looks a lot like the C chord. These two fingers are in the same place, 1st and 2nd. The 3rd finger just gets pulled up here and tucked in on the 3rd string, 2nd fret. So those two chords are partner chords. They come up in a lot of songs together. And that makes for an easy switch. And then finally, our last chord for today is going to be D major. Really doesn't have any connections as far as common fingerings in this key anyway. It will when we get to the key of D. I'll show you some ways to connect it. But I know a lot of you want to learn this chord, so we're going to go ahead and cover it now. So just like the D7, we're starting from the 4th string, open. Then we'll take our index finger, we're going to put that on our 3rd string, 2nd fret. Ring finger on our 2nd string, 3rd fret. Middle finger on the 1st string, 2nd fret. So when you look at the chord diagram, remember how the D7 looked like a little triangle? This kind of looks like an upside down triangle, right? Very visual instrument, the guitar. If you haven't noticed that already, people like to kind of memorize what those shapes look like. Also memorize what they feel like under your fingers as you go. They all feel, they all have their own special kind of sensation to play them, very tactile. Alright, and again, if you happen to hit the A string, it's not going to really make a big difference. It still sounds great. You don't want to play the low E, so just stay away from it. Or if you're comfortable, there's that thumb again, creating the mute. So there's lots and lots of songs we can do. I'm not going to get into songs in this video, but just as a reminder, if the only two chords you know are G and D7, there's probably dozens of songs you can play with that. None of them are really exciting top 40 hit kind of songs, but there are a lot of songs that are like nursery rhyme kind of folk songs. Hush Little Baby Don't Say a Word, Deep in the Heart of Texas. There's a ton of them, and we'll go over them in class, some of them. Let's see, what else? Probably a bunch anymore. Now, the next thing I always go over is G, D7, and C. For those of you who know a little music theory, that's the 1, 4, and 5 chord, and you could play millions of simple songs. Millions, literally, with just those 3 chords. So there's a lot to be done with just this much material and some strumming patterns. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Be polite in the comments if you want to ask something. I'll be happy to respond, or ask me in your next lesson or class. But there you are with those basic chords, and we'll go back over some songs and switching in another video. All right, thanks.